My name is Ronnie Shen, and the focus of my presentation will be on the dark and light triad. The dark and light triad are each a set of 3 traits which can be used in addressing the study of personality in psychology. I've always been interested in learning about personality and understanding people, and I've never heard of the dark or light triad before, so I wanted to learn more. My references for this project include a research report that was published in the Journal of Research in Personality in 2002, as well as 2 more recent articles from Psychology Today. In her article, Shedding Light on Psychology's Dark Triad, Professor Susan Cross Whitbourne generalizes those who display characteristics of the dark triad as people who use others for their own advantage. As the name suggests, the dark triad traits are generally not positive and tend to be more socially aversive. The dark triad comprises of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. People that score high in narcissism want attention and admiration from others, expect special treatment or favors, and seek privilege or status. People that score high in Machiavellianism tend to manipulate and exploit others with a lack of morality and use deceit, lies, or flattery to get their way. Psychopaths lack empathy and remorse and are unconcerned with the moralities of their actions. They may appear callous or insensitive and usually have a cynical outlook as well as antisocial behavior. As you probably noticed, there's some overlap with the description of the 3 traits. In fact, when they were first presented as an idea, it was that they were interchangeable traits in a normal sample. Inspired by this, psychology professors Paulus and Williams conducted a study on 245 undergraduate students where they anonymously filled out self-reported measures of the dark triad, the Big Five, as well as self-ratings of intelligence. The triangle on the left displays the correlations of the dark triad traits, and the highest correlation is 0.5, which is still small enough that suggests that 3 traits cannot be considered equivalent, since if they were, the correlation would be closer to 1. The table on the right shows the correlation between the dark triad traits and other traits. The higher correlations are bolded. The first portion of the table shows how the dark triad traits are correlated with the Big Five traits. Interestingly, narcissism and psychopathy are positively correlated with extroversion and openness, which may seem surprising at first, but if you think about Ted Bundy or other classic narcissistic psychopaths, they are often described as being charismatic or charming. Other notable correlations show that Machiavellians and psychopaths tend to score lower on conscientiousness, and psychopaths tend to score lower in neuroticism. The second portion of the table shows how the dark triad traits are related to cognitive abilities. Narcissists tend to score higher on the IQ test overall, while Machiavellians and psychopaths tend to have a higher nonverbal IQ score. The last portion of the table shows the correlation between the dark triad traits and self-enhancement. Self-enhancement was measured by predicting IQ score versus actual IQ score, and the overclaiming bias, which is claiming to know what something is, regardless of whether it exists or not. Not surprisingly, there's a strong correlation between narcissism and self-enhancement, and psychopathy is positively correlated with a higher rating of self-IQ. Paulus and Williams' study distinguished the 3 traits through their correlation with each other, as well as how they relate to other personality traits and external measures. However, I do want to point out that most of the participants were white males, and the study found that males tend to score higher on all 3 dark triad personality traits. The light triad is a more recently explored topic that represent pro-social traits in response to the dark triad. In his article, The Light Triad Personality, Professor Glenn Jayer draws from conclusions of a recent 2019 study that led to the establishment of the light triad scale. The light triad trait comprises of faith in humanity, humanism, and Kantianism. Faith in humanity is the belief that humans are generally good. Humanism is the belief that humans across all backgrounds are deserving of respect and appreciation. Kantianism is the belief that others should be treated as ends in of themselves and not as pawns for personal gain. For example, when you're with someone, you're not thinking of what you want from them, but you want to be with them for who they are. Like the Big Five, the dark and light triad use a scale of points rather than identifying an individual to a trait. And the total dark triad score and the light triad score show a correlation of around -0.5. This shows that although related, they're not just opposites of each other, as the name might suggest. And it also justifies the light triad as a separate measure of personality traits. Also, like the Big Five, there's research to suggest that the dark and light triad have predictive validity. I've described the dark triad as personality traits, but I do want to note that there are some psychiatrists who identify the dark triad as a set of mental illness, where those who are severely affected usually end up in jail, and those who are less affected tend to become very successful. The light triad is a more recently explored topic, and hopefully we'll hear more about it in the future. If you guys are interested, I put a link up so you can take the dark or light triad scale test.